Now, welcome everyone, and thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate coming here today. Should we start with you, Noor? It's fine? Yeah?
Sure. Hello, everybody. First off, thank you, Amal, and thank you, Ala, for inviting us here. I'm Noureddin Swerki. I'm a software engineer. I came here to the Netherlands around a year ago, right after the war. But before that, I was in Turkey. I wasn't in Gaza. I lived in Gaza for 24 years of my life, and I witnessed most of the wars, except for the one that happened in May, and of course the one that happened in October. I think that the most painful thing for me was when I left, I wanted to leave that identity behind me because it was so horrific on my memories that I wanted to stop being Palestinian when I left. I didn't want to carry that with me. But then, very soon after, I realized that that identity is not optional. And that identity is something that you're going to have to carry because nobody else is going to be able to give you another identity. I'm never going to become Dutch even if I have the citizenship. I'm never going to become Turkish even if I have the citizenship. I'm always going to be looked at and treated as a Palestinian, and that therefore I am a Palestinian. Thank you.
But also because Palestine will continue to live in your heart forever because you have family
obviously,
also.
Obviously, yes, I have a family there, but at the same time, those memories are overwhelming, and you just want to disconnect from that. Obviously, it's a very righteous cause, and obviously, I still have family there. But when you leave Gaza, when you leave Ramallah, when you are able to leave in the first place, because most people are not able, you face this reality that you want to live your life, you want to be human for the first time in your life, and at the same time you realize that you're not going to be treated as such. You are going to be treated as a Palestinian, which is somehow subhuman to most governments, at least.
Okay. And are you originally from Gaza?
Yeah. My grandparents from my father's side were from Gaza. Their parents and their grandparents were from Gaza. On my mother's side, they're originally from Bir Saba, now called Beersheba. It's at the bottom of the triangle down the Naqab Desert. And for me, myself, I identify as from Gaza. Like originally, my roots are from Gaza.
And where did you live in Gaza?
I lived in multiple places in Gaza. I lived half of my life eastwards in the Shijaiya neighborhood, in a small place called Hayy Tufah, the apples neighborhood. No apples there. I don't know why they called it that. But that's where I lived half of my life, and the other half I lived behind the Shifa hospital. That's where our latest place was.
And you said that you still have family there. How they are doing? Are they in a safe place?
Safe place. There's no safe place in Gaza. They're in a safe-ish, like the safest possible, but that's not remotely safe. When you are underneath the F-16s and the F-35s, there is nowhere that they cannot reach, and there is no reason for them that they wouldn't bomb everything because that's their style, random carpet bombing. But they have a roof, they have walls, they're not in a tent. I'm very happy that that's their case. That's the bourgeois life right now in Gaza. To have water, a little bit of food, a roof. That's life.
And are they thinking of leaving Gaza, or
some of them are
they able?
Definitely nobody is able to leave Gaza, not right now. You have the Rafah crossing closed, the Erez crossing closed. They cannot leave from any of the directions. Some of my family members are thinking of leaving. My brother, his wife and his his two kids are in Egypt. My brother is not, he's in Gaza. And he's definitely planning to leave, to rejoin them. My father wishes to stay. He doesn't see a life outside of Gaza, even though how can he still see life inside of Gaza? Beyond me. My mom is thinking of leaving. It's almost half and half. Some family members are really stubborn and they wish to stay. some cannot take it anymore and they want to leave.
And how was the Rafah crossing for family members that left Gaza already?
Oh, it was fucking horrible.
Yeah, can you explain that?
Yeah, sure. Frankly, I always assumed that the worst treatment you're going to get is going to be by the Israelis, but the Egyptians are competing really well at the Rafah crossing.
Sorry for the Egyptians.
No,
offense.
I'm sorry.
Egyptian authorities.
Yes, I was going to elaborate that very, very shortly. I'm really sorry. Egyptian people, they always speak very fondly of Palestine as if it's part of their own. But I'm really sorry, your government is extremely humiliating. It's not about the payments that we pay, because it's egregious. I paid $500 to leave Rafah, and I was deported from Gaza to Cairo airport, and I was held in the detention center in Cairo airport so I can leave. So yeah, the Egyptian government really treats us like shit going from Gaza to anywhere else. So yeah, it wasn't a fun experience.
Yeah, I totally understand. And you said that you grew up in Gaza and you witnessed all the wars. How did you experience, like, how was your childhood, your puberty, your early adult life, experiencing 6 wars in Gaza?
I can assure you one thing, that no war in Gaza was like the other. Each war in Gaza had there was a pattern. Each war continued and proceeded exactly where the last war stopped. So, for example, in the first war, they bombed the electricity company. That's where it began with the second war. It began with bombing the electricity company, the water filtration systems, etc. In 2012, at the very end of the war, they started bombing large residential buildings. In 2014, that's how it started. So each time, each war is an escalation above the next. I have no idea how they're going to escalate after October 7th. But each war I'm really in a lack of words how to describe it. I witnessed my first war. I was 10 years old. I was going to school, and that's when they decided their war is going to start. They started carpet bombing the entire neighborhood. And that was my first one. Each consecutive war after that, I sort of normalized with our situation. It was like the Olympics. It happens every 2-3 years, and you're just living under bombing. That's your life. And as human beings, somehow we still manage to normalize with our situation. We are terrified when the bombing gets closer, but as long as it's a little bit distant from you, you think that, oh, everything is going to be fine. I'm okay. My family is all right. And that's what's happening now is normal. In Gaza, you normalize with the fact that you are going to be killed at any point in time.
And did you, like, sorry. What life did you dream of living there? Like,
oh, I just dreamt of living life like everybody else, like having mere human rights. Like, they're just the things that are in the Bill of International Human Rights. I just wanted that. Just being able to live, just being able to afford food, for decent education, to be able to have vacation elsewhere, to be able to express my identity freely. Those are very simple things, and those you cannot do in Gaza.
sorry.
No. It is traumatizing.
Yeah.
And talking about it is
No,
not
it's
easy.
fine. And you moved from Gaza to Turkey, you said, right?
Yes, that's right. Late 2022.
Okay, and then you came to the Netherlands.
Yes.
Do you like the Netherlands to begin with?
Oh my God.
It's cold. I know. It's too much rain.
It's not much the cold. It's the lack of sun. The sun,
Yeah.
I miss that
Exactly the
a
weather.
lot. And
But also our comrades, Dutch people complain about the weather every day. So you're integrating fine.
Yeah.
And did you face any discrimination when you came to the Netherlands for the simple fact that you are from Gaza or Palestinian?
That's a very on-point question. Okay, so the means I came to the Netherlands.
Yeah.
I was supposed to come as a highly skilled migrant because I'm a software engineer. There's a lack in that sector here, and the government allows you to get people from abroad. Now, I was supposed to come to the Netherlands on October 19th, but October 7th happened, and I started posting extensively about the situation. My fucking grandparents died in this. I can't just not post about it. And the company had an issue with that. And so I was fired from the company before I came even to the Netherlands, leading me to come here, and my only option was to apply for asylum. Now I'm suing that company. Okay. And I'm suing them for discrimination on the basis of political opinion. Thank you very much. I already complained against them at an institution called College voor de Rechten van de Mens. It's an institution specialized in discrimination cases, and the institution ruled in my favor. That was about 6 months ago. Yesterday was my court hearing, my official court hearing against the company, and I think that it went very well. I will know on November 8th whether there is according to the court, whether there is a case of discrimination. To answer your question, yes, definitely, and I can quantify that now.
Okay, so November 8th, everyone here will text him to see what happened, right?
No, we will text him to see how much he got paid.
Yeah, also.
Here's the thing. Yesterday at the hearing, there was an instance where we could settle this without the judge giving us a settlement. And I was open to that because I already knew what I wanted. And I offered them that I don't want a single cent from the company. I wanted the company to make a donation to one of the relief organizations that are operating in Gaza and to post about that. And they rejected that offer. So it was
cowards, huh?
yes. So I'm definitely afterwards I'm going to screw them over.
Yeah, you did good. Thank you. And Hussam, I saw you agreeing with him for growing up in Gaza. Would you like to tell us something about it also?
I mean, I guess we do have that in common. We ended up like being born in the same area. Hence the knots. Yeah. So I was born in the 90s. So I was born before Israel withdrew like their soldiers from inside of the Gaza Strip and like really deployed them. So I remember a bit of that. I also remember, of course, after. Similarly to you, I lived in multiple places. I lived in 4 different places. But mainly in like Khan Yunis and in Gaza. Also, my grandparents live like right behind the Shifa hospital, so like I thought that was kind of funny. Yeah, I've been there like a lot of the times. But yeah. And
are you also originally from Gaza or?
Half and half. So my dad's side is from Khan Yunis, but yeah, so the Gaza Strip. My mom's side isn't. They are from like northern from Gaza. It's from 2 villages, like my grandpa and my grandma, from Paneldebate and Yasur. Both of these villages are now gone. They do not exist anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, I do call myself as Gazan specifically, not as I consider myself as like a local from Gaza.
You're also a member of BDS movement in the Netherlands. Could you tell us which campaigns do the BDS have in the Netherlands and how can we help?
Oh yeah, certainly. Now, sure. Now, does everyone know what BDS is here? Yes. Oh yeah. But yeah, so BDS is the Boycott, Divestment and Sanctions movement. It's a movement that was created in 2005 based on the civil rights movement in the U.S., the Black civil rights movement, as well as the anti-apartheid South Africa movement. So most of the principles are very similar to those movements, and it's mainly targeted at institutions and entities that are complicit in Israeli crimes against Palestinians, with the main goals to end the apartheid and equal rights for and to make sure that there are equal rights for everyone, including Palestinians with Israeli citizenship, as well as the rights of return. And these are all enshrined in international law. Just a quick introduction. Yeah, so currently in the Netherlands, we are working in a few big campaigns, like boycott campaigns. The first one is Booking.com. As some of you might know, Booking.com is provides housing within Israeli illegal settlements, which goes against international law, obviously. And yeah, we constantly have protests there, as well as work behind the curtains, I guess. A lot of the people that work in Booking.com are in support of boycotting listings in the occupied territories. However, we are waiting for Booking.com to make a decision on that. We also have EBS, which is so this is an Israeli bus company, and it's a tender here in the Netherlands to try and provide bus services for Dutch people. They tried to do this again in Utrecht a couple of months ago. Thankfully, they did not get the bid, which is great. But, the campaign is still ongoing. What else? We also have the Albert Heijn campaign, which is, again, to boycott Israeli products, and also to make sure that all Israeli products that are coming from, especially occupied territories, to be labeled as, like Israeli, not as Dutch products, because that happens sometimes, because it gets packaged here or it gets packaged somewhere else, and so the labels changes. And lastly, we have the apartheid-free zones campaign, which is our most recent campaign here in the Netherlands. And it basically is about institutions, companies, entities, cultural, educational, social, what have you, to agree to boycott anything Israeli related, as long as the occupation and apartheid persists. And so far, we got our very first institution in Rotterdam, a cultural place that declared that they are an anti-apartheid free zone. Yeah, and but currently we already started in multiple cities: Amsterdam, Utrecht, Eindhoven, Maastricht, if I'm not mistaken, and a couple more. And hopefully we also want to try to bring it to Nijmegen. But that's up to you, all lovely people. But yeah, these are the main things that we're working on right now.
Okay, great. And you're also busy in Utrecht for Palestine and Palestine Cafe?
Yeah.
What kind of events are you organizing? What are you up to? Can you tell us more? And also, how can we help?
Sure, yeah. So I live in Utrecht, so I'm currently focusing my activism in Utrecht, and I'm an organizer in Palestine Cafe. I'll start with that. It's a cultural place, so we basically operate as a community center. We're at a community center, and we have events related to Palestine. Now, we don't only speak about Palestine, but for the most part we do. We have events every single week on Sundays at 3 p.m. So anyone who would like to visit Utrecht and they don't know what to do at 3 p.m. Sunday, you know where to find us. But yeah, we hold community building events, we hold cultural events, educational events, as well as mobilization events. Either to inform people about Palestine, educate them, is because we believe that education is at the forefront of the struggle, but also to create a space for people to vent, because this has been very heavy on a lot of people, Palestinians and non-Palestinians, yeah, like, same thing. So yeah, as Palestinians and non-Palestinians, and that is pretty much it. And then, of course, we also mobilize people to be activists, and we tell them how to be an activist, and we guide them through that. Which moves me to Utrecht for Palestine, which is an activist group. It's one of the biggest coalitions, if you will, in Utrecht, and it's very diverse, and they have low-risk and high-risk actions. They do protests in support, with the support of, or in collaboration with PGNL, for example. But they also do actions like sit-ins. We did one last week, if I'm not mistaken, at the station, and we do such actions regularly. But we also have high-risk actions. For example, about like a month ago, we went to the Caserna in Utrecht, which is like the military base in Utrecht, and we managed to block the road to stop an arms trader group from arriving. As they sell, weaponry to the Dutch military, including Israeli weapons that are tested on Palestinians. Yeah. But yeah, these are what we do.
Okay, great. And what kind of obstacles did you face? Like with the municipality, with the police, with the media, with...
with activism?
Yeah.
Oh, a lot. So, of course, we are monitored a lot of the times. Even at Palestine Cafe, we had cameras set up around our place. Thankfully, some of them were taken down, but some of them are still up there, and it's quite wild. Whenever there's any sort of action, even if we talk to the police about it and we inform them we're going to do this through this direction, blah, 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 they try their best to stop us. Of course, whenever we have an action, we are covered with police. There's always police around us in mass. There was also once a banner drop that happened during Pride, and the only section of the entirety of Pride that had like police was around like the Palestinian protest of it, which is again wild. But I think more importantly, when we're talking about the police and the treatment there, I think it's better to talk about the student encampments, as police have harmed the students, like physically. They've used violence against the students, and it was unlawful. It was brought up in the Gemeentehuis, and unfortunately, a lot of the parties were very neutral about it, or in support of the violence, like, of course, PVV and VVD. But yeah, now recently there was an article, there was an investigation about it, and finally they were like, oh yeah, the police using so much violence against the students was unlawful. Well, oopsie. But that is currently the treatment for a lot of the activists there. Okay. Yeah.
Clear. Thank you, Hussam. We can move to Lale. Lale is also an activist in Friesland for Palestine, Klinker for Palestine, and Leeuwarden for Palestine. Can you start by telling us how did your fight for Palestine start to begin with?
Yes, I'm an Iraqi. I'm from Iraq, born in the Netherlands, and my parents decided that the Netherlands would be Little Iraq. And my parents are very Shia, so Arabic TV was on from birth, and I was raised on very important Arabic leaders, and Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah being like this towards us. I was raised like on all of the wars, like even 2003 when Saddam fell. The moment Saddam fell, my parents packed the car and we were like, we're going to Iraq. They did not give a fuck that it was full of the American army and bombings, and no, they were like, Bismillah, Ya Allah, let's go. If we die, we die. I hope God takes all seven. And so I was raised so Arabic in a very Dutch country, and then at one moment I was 13 And I said, I had a fight at school, and I said to this teacher, one day I'm gonna go to Palestine, I'm gonna go fight. And I got suspended for 1 week. So, and then my parents taught me one thing: never talk about Palestine in the Netherlands, because we will be stamped terrorists. And we have a very hijabi family and very Shia family, and we would go to Iraq, Iran. I've been to Lebanon for 2 months. I've been like everywhere, even Syria 2014, when the war was hell. My parents were like, let's go, Sayyida Zainab, Dimashq. We're gonna visit that. So, loving the Arabic world, feeling for the Arabic world, fighting for the Arabic world wasn't something that was unnatural to me. It was so normal because I am Iraqi, and I hate injustice. When I feel injustice, I go crazy. When I feel injustice towards me, I go crazy. For example, last week, Amsterdam municipality told us, you are not allowed to demonstrate at the Vrijheidsmonument in front of the Israeli manifest. And I said, you are taking away our rights. This is injustice. So we decided to still stand there.
Yes.
And we took a beating for it. Of course. But yeah, that's, to me, injustice makes me feel like I cannot breathe. And every time I'm tired, I remember the Palestinian friends I have right now in Gaza, and I'm like, they cannot be tired. Or I remember Iraq 2003, or before, or after, or anything Iraq. And I remember my family, and I remember everybody that died at the hands of Saddam, Daesh, and the Americans, and the Dutch, and everyone. To me, it's not a choice or anything, it's life. And like you said, it's now or never. It is now or never. Everything else doesn't matter anymore. So that's why.
Okay, thank you. Thanks to your parents also. Yeah.
Yes.
Actually. And you are also like a member of Groningen and all these cities. What kind of obstacles did you face, like Utrecht, or did you face another type of obstacles with the municipality, with the police, with the media? And how did you handle the situation, if there were any?
So when we started in Groningen and in Friesland, we still had the media and the municipality kind of on our side, because they didn't know us yet, like what is going to happen. Amsterdam and Utrecht already happened, and I was at the Utrecht occupation, so I already saw the reactions. When Groningen started, we were the first one that would start, and we knew immediately how we do this is going to reflect at the rest of the Netherlands, so we have to do it right. So we started making videos. I am a filmmaker. I used to hate influencers, but in the war and in the genocide, we saw the power of the media. We saw what the Palestinians did. So it was pretty easy to be like, okay, let's run a huge media game in Groningen right now. So every time the municipality was like, oh, you're not going to be allowed this, or there is not enough fire safety, or there is not enough hygiene, we would make videos how clean the camp was and respond to them constantly. At one point, the mayor wanted us gone. He would come to the camp, would demand meetings, and he wanted us really, really gone. So I said, okay, we are going to talk with the mayor, but he comes to our camp, and he's going to sit in between all of us, and he's going to eat with us, and then we're going to have that talk. So he came, we took the pictures, we showed it, PR good. Then, because I think of activism as multiple layers, it's not only the low risk and the high risk and all of those actions, it's the people, it's the public, it's the media, it's everything. So 1 week before we occupied in Groningen, I decided to go to the municipality and talk to them and to see if we can get a motion out for Palestine. So we were trying so hard to get like a good motion for the encampment and for Palestine, but at the same time, I knew we were going to occupy, so I thought if 6 of our students would go into the municipality, show their faces and talk to them, how would that work for us a week later? A week later, when we had the demo, the occupation and the very violent police brutality, we had the municipality of Groningen defend us. Not the mayor was an asshole. But we had the rest of the municipality defend us. We had the video of me being dragged away. They showed it in the municipality, and they asked the mayor why. This is the person that was talking to us. There was the bridge builder. And so I felt like all of those little things that we did media-wise, political-wise, helped us public-wise, because Groningen, the people of Groningen loved us. Our encampment was in the middle of the city, so it was very important. We had night watches all night. We had all-night visitors by drunk people and drunk Dutch guys. It was very important that the people liked us. So we worked a lot on that. So when we faced all of that violence, we got all of Groningen, everybody mad, because we showed them who we are and what we did. The mayor and his route, the whole route he took, he first came to the encampment and ate with us and was like a good guy. Then he came a second time. The second time when he came, I showed him a documentary that we made about police racism with one of our comrades. I showed him the documentary. I had media inside of the crowd, of the people. I showed him the documentary and I said, "What do you think?" And he looked at us and he said, "I believe you should find different ways to express your opinion." Imagine, we needed that documentary to be out in 2 days or in 3 days. We needed to make enough people mad to come to the demo. So we made this documentary about police racism and violence at our first day of the encampment. Zionists came and attacked, and then a black kid gets arrested instead, and he gets threatened to be sent back to Africa whilst the student is Irish. So we make a whole documentary, and imagine 72 hours of editing in the rain, stinking in my clothes, in Groningen, in the cold, beneath a tent. And the mayor was the first person to see the documentary and to tell me, find another way to express your opinion. So I got mad. So I gave him like this break. And I was like, "We are showing you this, and this is your reaction. You cannot do this." The media saw that, everybody saw that. He got mad at us. 2 days later, he beat us up. We have everything on video. We have everything on camera. Enough people knew about this thing between us and the mayor. He has resigned. We didn't stop. We kept producing the videos. We sent letters to everybody in the gemeenteraad. We kept on going. He's leaving. So.
Congratulations!
And now we're gonna do the same thing in Amsterdam.
Thank you. Really, I can't express enough.
And
yes,
Yeah.
I want to nominate other people for the who's next. After the mayor.
And besides the encampment, what kind of actions or events are you organizing in the 3 cities?
Yes, the north. We call it
the north.
Just
Yeah, it's easier than saying it.
Yes, we do a lot of fundraising. We do a lot of information. You see, the north is different. In Friesland, activism is different. We can do a demo yelling in the streets, but we can do it once every 2 months. what we do more, because it's Frisian people, it's a very different kind of people. What we do much more is when everybody did sit-ins every 2 weeks or every month, we did info desks at the station. Because Frisian people don't want people to yell at them. No, because somebody from Friesland came to me, like a Frisian guy came to me and said, Lale, it's so bad what's happening to the Palestinians, but if you yell at us, we won't listen. I said, what do you want? He said, talk to us. Like, how? And he explained to me, like, just talk to us. I said, okay, what if we did like tea and cookies or something? Would that be easier? And he said, yes, then everybody would come and talk to you. And it worked. So we are much more about these kind of events in Friesland and organizing. And I like that. I like the different kind of activism that we do. Like Groningen is a very different one. It's a very big city. If you do a demo there, you have 200 people, 300 people. You can have that every Sunday if you do it well. Friesland is very different. En dat heel amicaal, heel vriendelijk, very...
You notice that you reach people and that you educate them, or...?
Yes, a lot.
Okay.
Yes, like the Friesland media is a fan of us, for example.
Nice, nice. Thanks.
We should move there.
We should copy.
No, we should, yeah. Bring them. Actually. Okay, thank you, Lale. We can move to Lydia. Lydia, I talked to you yesterday. Can you please, I know, like how, yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I find it very good. How did your fight for Palestine started? Yeah, I think, well, I think there was a lead up. So my background is in criminology and international criminal law. And you would expect, if you study these areas and if you are a volunteer for Amnesty International for the whole of your student time, and I took a long time, so it was a lot of years, you would expect that you come out of all of those pathways informed about a conflict, quote unquote conflict, which this country has so many connections to. And people go on holiday and they lie on the beach of Tel Aviv, quote unquote. We buy stuff in a supermarket that is supposedly, clean products from there. We have so many connections and political alliance that goes back decades. You would think that you come out of these educational pathways informed, but I clearly wasn't. So what I did during my studies and after my studies, I spent 1 year in South Africa with a grassroots organization that was fighting for, they were survivors and victims of apartheid, and they were fighting for accountability and reparations against multinationals that were complicit in the apartheid system. So I spent 1 year with them and doing research for their court case in the US. After that I went to the Yugoslav Tribunal and I did an internship there for 7 months, looking at the siege of Sarajevo and the sniping and shelling attacks that happened. And after that I thought, okay, now I'm glad I did what I did in South Africa and the Yugoslav Tribunal, but this is all, it's easy to look back at history and say, oh, that was very bad, this should never happen again, this will never happen again. And now we're so wise and we have all the wisdom in the world and we can analyze and we write books and we open museums. But I thought all of these crimes could continue for a very long time with the most grave, severe consequences. And the Western world stood by and looked on and was complicit. And I don't think that human nature has changed. So probably there are still situations out there where injustice can continue for whatever reason, but we're not seeing it, and we're not getting educated, and we're not being put on the right track to at least end our complicity, at least. So one of the images that just stuck with me was the image of a tank on a sandy road, and a kid throwing a rock, a stone at the tank.
And that was supposedly, a conflict which was very complicated and two sides and, twee vechten, twee schuld. So, and I thought the picture doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know what it is, but it's not adding up. So then in 2009, I decided, with all my white privilege in my backpack, I decided to book a flight and go there. And I thought, let me look with my own eyes, ask my own questions, and while I'm there, make myself useful. So first I went to Nablus, and I did volunteering in the refugee camps there with a Palestinian organization. And then, it takes you, not even, I would say, it doesn't even take you 24 hours to get what otherwise, I don't know, I'm not sure you can even capture it in a documentary or in a book. It's so incredibly obvious once you set foot there. So I think my process wasn't very long. Once I set foot in Palestine, I was, I think, instantly more knowledgeable. And then you can never, I think, for anyone, this is what I always hear from other people who've been to Palestine. Once you've been there once, no matter if it 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 years, 20 years, doesn't matter. If you've been there, if you've seen it, you'll never be able to go back and be quiet about it, or just forget about it, or let go. You can also focus on other struggles in addition, but you will never be able to be uncommitted to it, I think. And it got a bit out of hand. So 2000.
What time have you been there?
So I moved to Nablus in 2009.
Oh, okay.
I was supposed to be there for 3 months, but then suddenly it was 2011. And then I saw Morsi on television, because my plan was to go to Gaza, after Kastled. And the Palestinian Center for Human Rights in Gaza said, I sent them my CV and I said, if you can use my time, my skills, whatever, I'm here, I'm happy to come. And they said, yes, meet ahla wa sahla, you're welcome, but you can't enter the Gaza Strip, sorry. You need a plan B. So my plan B was Nablus, and then in 2011 I saw Morsi on television. He was then elected president in Egypt, and he said, Egypt will no longer be complicit in the siege. Brothers and sisters in Gaza, we will let you travel. So I thought, that's my cue. I went to the Egyptian embassy in The Hague, and had very interesting conversations there. That's for another time, but eventually I got a visa for Egypt, which had a little line in the bottom that said, وَأَيْضًا لَزِيَارَةْ غَزَّةِ. Like, this is also to visit Gaza. And I had no idea whether this was going to work, but I think a lot of luck, bluffing at the border, and probably also, again, white privilege got me through. So 2011 to 2013 I was in Gaza. And then I've been back many times since then. Yeah.
And so you witnessed one war in Gaza? Yes, 2012 was one war officially, but it's never. Yes, you can pinpoint times when the army decides we're now going to test new weapons. We're going to test a new strategy. We're going to go for another thing so that after we can sell more weapons. 2012 was one of those times, but even when I arrived in 2011, after 1 week, there was bombings. Every day, almost. I was actually, I would say, I call them my adoptive family, Obed family. They really took me in like I was their daughter, and they lived close to Shifa, actually. And do they have tunnels after this?
What happens in Gaza stays in Gaza. No, it was so. I had just moved there, and I had met them, and they had invited me. It was Ramadan. They had invited me for iftar, and that was it. I think I became adopted in that instance. And the moment the first bomb fell close to where I was living, I really didn't have a clue what I should be doing when there is bombings, right? I thought, oh, we'll see. I'll figure it out. But within 30 seconds after the bomb fell close to my place, my friend, Obed, she rang me because she had already understood where the bomb was, gave me instructions, what to do, what not to do. Very calm, very, like, she grew up, you know, this was her life. She grew up knowing more or less what to expect, knowing more or less what to do. So she just rang me, okay, this is your, you know, your bombing 101 lesson. So yes, one war, but in between you have, I mean, you drive on the road from A to B for work, and then a motorcycle in front of you gets hit by a drone. It's not called war. It's never going to be seen on the television here. It's not going to be a news article. But it's also not normal life. It's never been a normal situation.
And when we talked yesterday, you told me that you lived also in Lebanon.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you visit the Palestinian camps there?
Yes, I did. So, as you probably know, Palestinian refugees have been displaced within Palestine, into Gaza, into the West Bank, but also outside Lebanon, Syria, Jordan. So in Lebanon, I really witnessed very inhumane conditions. UNRWA, you know, the organization that is really, right now is at the heart of an effort to being destroyed as an organization, because it is one of the means of survival, physical survival of Palestinians in the region. When the Nakba happened, after the Nakba happened and the UNRWA camps were established, parameters were set. You know, this is the camp. So let's say this table is the camp within Beirut or within Lebanon, and the camp cannot grow beyond. So first people were there in tents, and then 1 month became a year, 1 year became 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. So people started to build, well, houses. I don't know what you can compare it to. It's semi-temporary. It's not really healthy for living, and it just adds, you know, that people add floors and floors and floors for their families to live. So at the end, the infrastructure is not, it's not suitable for the number of people that live inside the camp. And you can't just move outside of the camp and decide, all right, now there's no space, there's no daylight reaching me. There's electricity wires that run left, right, and center. A lot of people get electrocuted when things go wrong with all this wiring that hangs in the camp. So conditions are very unhealthy, extremely depressing, and access to work is very limited. So Palestinians can't just pick a job or pick an education and work in that field because they're Palestinian. So they don't have the same rights as other people in Lebanon.
There are officially 60 jobs you are not allowed to do as Palestinian in Lebanon.
Yeah.
That's official, yeah? A lot of doctor, engineer, something like that.
Yeah.
A lot of Palestinians do that, but it's not officially.
Yeah, because officially you have to join a syndicate and pay a huge sum of money, or you have to be Lebanese national, and you can't get Lebanese nationality. So then you're stuck. So a lot of Palestinians are forced to work in, just daily labor or trade, even if that's not really what they're.
That's right.
What they wish. Yeah.
And seeing the invasion of Lebanon today happening over and over again, how does it feel for you to see the news like these days?
Well, probably a lot like every person in the room, and I hope a lot of people who have some humanity left. I mean, it's a copy-paste. So in Gaza, a template, a blueprint was developed. It was very clear from the beginning. It was announced 9th of October. And the world let it happen until today. So it's being repeated onto Lebanon. It may be repeated onto other places, like Syria. So I have family-in-law in Lebanon. And they're Palestinian. I mean, where do you go? Yeah, you can go to, maybe you could go to Syria, but there's other challenges that come with going to Syria. The cousin, who's like a brother to my husband, his first child was born last week. And I mean, a newborn, you know, a newborn. I remember my kids when they're newborn, they're like little, little bundles of, rest, calm, sleeping. But even in the first days of this child's life, I mean, the kid was hysterical from birth because of the bombings that were happening all around. I mean, they can't really go anywhere else, so they have to, just try and cope with the situation as is. Yeah, but it's extremely terrifying because even now in Beirut, you don't know where the next bomb's going to hit. Yeah, so it's terrifying. Yeah.
And how can we stop this from happening? Like, what kind of actions are you taking to stop the complicity of the Dutch government, for example, Western governments?
I mean, I think, example. It all adds up. So everyone does their part or their parts, whether it is, I don't know, whether it is hosting all of us here, whether it is, giving out flyers, anything, it adds up. And I think, the little part that I'm trying to do is with Kifaya. So the donations of today will go via Kifaya to PMRS, 100%. So PMRS, Palestinian Medical Relief Society, is a Palestinian medical group that works in the West Bank and in Gaza. We support their work in Gaza only. And we've been, Kifaya was established 25 years ago. We've been going to Gaza as much as we have been able to until 7 October. Yeah, and it's about supporting people on their terms. So not, oh, we want to do this project in Gaza. People in Gaza, are you interested? Or here's money that you can spend on X, Y, or Z. No, it's not your place. It's not your role. You want to support. People in Gaza know what they need, when they need it, how they need it. So that's what we try to do as Kifaya. We try to increase awareness in the Netherlands. And every euro we can collect here, we send it in batches of tens of thousands of euros to PMRS in Gaza. And then afterwards they tell us how they spent it, whether it was on hygiene kits or shelter, psychosocial support, first aid, yeah, anything that we can do. And my, I guess, during office hours, but even now nighttime and weekends with SOMO, which is a Dutch NGO, we look at many things. We look at multinationals and everything that's wrong with the world, capitalism. But my role in SOMO has become now really to look at the role of multinationals in Palestine. And so how, even before 7 October, there were a lot of things to look at. The trade, in the settlements. We launched the criminal complaints against Booking in November. We had worked on the investigation for years, so eventually in November we were ready to file with the prosecutor a criminal complaint for money laundering, so laundering the proceeds of war crimes. Yeah, we try to do what we can to help, investigate and share data with groups like BDS or any group that wants to hold companies to account. We're now working with Al-Haq on we've been working also on this for years, but it gets delayed because of the genocide, on the complicity of the offshore gas industry. So as some of you may know, there are gas reserves offshore the Mediterranean from Lebanon across historic Palestine, also offshore the Gaza Strip, and these fields are being treated like every other part of Palestine, which is, it's just there to take. Occupation army will hand out licenses to foreign corporations to explore and develop these fields. And there's one Dutch corporation we found is involved in the offshore industry. I can't share more about it now, but it will be made public quite soon, and a complaint will be filed against them as well. And
yes, you have the court case from before yesterday?
No, and 2 days ago we launched a court case against the state of the Netherlands. Powerful as they are, I'll leave it to them.
Yeah.
Yes, it's fine. Yeah, we will wait.
Because the food is finished.
Yeah, we will wait a bit.
Yeah. Should I answer?
Yeah, please.
Corporations are powerful and they have ways to circumvent laws, etc. But in the case of the genocide, it has now so obvious that the state is failing entirely, failing completely, miserably, and consciously to undertake any meaningful action to stop the genocide, to prevent the genocide that has been warned, that we have been warned about since the beginning, and then officially we were put on notice by the International Court of Justice in January. So what we try to achieve with this court case, it's a civil case against the state. What we try to achieve is that they stop all arms transfers, exports, that includes dual-use products, that includes armed parts from here to Israel. That's one part. But the other part which is what came out in the advisory opinion of the International Court of Justice in July. It said what everyone already knew. The occupation is illegal, the settlements are illegal, the racial segregation is illegal, and it must be stopped, it must be ended. Third states have a responsibility to end it. Third states have a responsibility to not be complicit and to make sure that actors that are under their jurisdiction, like companies, aren't helping to maintain it, to support it, to prolong it. So that means, no, you cannot have dealings with a company that is invested. No, you cannot have billions of euros being invested from the Netherlands into companies every year that are active in the settlements. You cannot have 4 Dutch corporations on the UN list that says they are involved in the illegal settlements. So all of this has to stop. There cannot be public procurement relationships, investment relationships, trade. It all has to stop. So no connection to the occupation, no connection to the settlements. We think it's not rocket science. I've been speaking from SOMO and with other organizations for years with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to bring this to their attention, that these trade ties are in contradiction of the Dutch obligations under international law. And all they come back with is say, well, we have something called the ontmoedigingsbeleid, the discouragement policy, which is neither discouragement nor policy. It has 0 effect. They know it has 0 effect. Then we call them out on their hypocrisy, which is, in Russia, Ukraine, you all seem quite clear on what is unlawful, occupation, invasion, annexation. Can you just repeat the exercise? And then you you may agree on a legal level, but politically you hit a roadblock. So I would say that unfortunately we decided to go to court because it really is a measure of last resort. It's something that you do when you see that no other avenue is having any impact. So here we are.
And